Wait, what actually comes to mind when we think of love? Romantic movie moments? Soulmate stories? We all imagine it like that, don't we? But listen, what if I told you that when you fall in love, your brain literally shuts down its logic center? Scientifically speaking, it's the closest state to temporary insanity. If you think love is just a sweet fairy tale, you're wrong. According to science, love is a chemical storm where your brain completely loses control. Those butterflies in your stomach, the sleepless nights, they seem innocent, but they're actually the first signs of a biological trap. Why do we ignore the warnings? Why do we miss the red flags right in front of us? Why do we make the most ridiculous decisions of our lives during this period? In this video, we'll reveal how those romantic butterflies actually take your brain hostage. Who's really taking the wheel? Let's look at the scientific side of love. With that first spark of love, your brain suddenly turns into a chemistry laboratory. And the star of this lab is a chemical called dopamine. Dopamine governs our brain's reward and motivation system. It's released when we eat a delicious meal or achieve a goal, giving us that incredible sense of pleasure. When you fall in love, your brain is literally flooded with dopamine. fMRI scans show that dopamine activity in love is nearly identical to that of someone using powerful drugs. Yes, you heard that right. Scientifically, love is a kind of natural addiction. Your reward system is so strongly stimulated that seeing, hearing, or even thinking about them feels like taking the next dose. That "I can't live without them" feeling comes exactly from here. Your brain encodes that person as a basic survival need, like food or water. Another key ingredient added to this cocktail is norepinephrine. This chemical is responsible for our fight-or-flight response and puts our body on alert. Rising norepinephrine levels when you fall in love create those famous symptoms: a racing heart, sweaty palms, flushed cheeks, and of course, those butterflies in your stomach. Your energy skyrockets. You sleep less and eat less. In fact, your brain and body perceive love as a crisis and start running all systems at the highest level. So those thrills you think are romantic are nothing more than your body's emergency signal. This storm of dopamine and norepinephrine makes you the happiest person in the world, while taking your logic hostage from the very start. They don't leave my mind for even a second. Everywhere I look, everything I hear, I see them. Do these sentences sound familiar? If they do, you're not alone, and there's a scientific reason for it. Behind this obsessive, fixated state of love lies another chemical called serotonin. Normally, serotonin regulates our mood, keeping us calm and happy. But in the early, passionate stages of love, something very strange happens. Serotonin levels in the brain drop significantly. Scientists have discovered that the serotonin levels of people newly in love are as low as those in patients with obsessive-compulsive disorder. OCD is a condition where people struggle with repetitive and uncontrollable thoughts in their minds. Low serotonin weakens the brain's ability to say stop to such thoughts. That's exactly what happens when you fall in love. When serotonin hits rock bottom, your brain becomes unable to stop thoughts about the person you're in love with. Your mind spends maybe more than 65% of the day thinking about that person. This is why you can't focus on your work and why you're constantly checking your phone. As the poet said, "Trucks carry melons, and I would think of them all along." This isn't poetic exaggeration. It's a biological command. It's as if your mind has been hacked and forced to run a single program: them. This chemical imbalance can lead to intense anxiety, jealousy, and despair, especially in moments of uncertainty. Just as an OCD patient seeks constant reassurance, the brain constantly seeks assurance regarding that person. And that's why you can't stop thinking about them. Well, why do we make such irrational decisions when we're in love? Why do we ignore our friends screaming, "This person isn't for you"? How do we overlook someone's most obvious flaws? The answer is hidden in the most advanced part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex. Located right behind our forehead, this region is like the CEO of our brain. It's responsible for reasoning, decision-making, planning, and critical thinking. It's our internal braking system that says, "Wait, let's think for a minute." But when you're in love, this CEO takes an involuntary leave of absence. fMRI studies led by researchers like neuroscientist Samir Zeki revealed a startling fact. When people saw photos of their lovers, activity in the logic centers literally ground to a halt. Your logic and judgment center literally shuts down. This is the scientific proof that love is blind. The circuits that let you see flaws and incompatibilities simply go offline. At the same time, the activity in the amygdala, the center for fear and negative emotions, also decreases. This is why we become bolder, more reckless, and take risks we never would normally. This shutdown explains why love can be dangerous. Without the logic break, you move purely on dopamine-driven euphoria and addiction. It leaves you vulnerable to manipulation and unhealthy relationships, because the part of your brain that should say stop is silent. This temporary madness can lead to your best moments or your biggest mistakes. That's why you aren't the one in control. But why does our brain play this game with us? Why has evolution developed a mechanism that makes us so vulnerable, irrational, and obsessive? The answer is actually very simple: the continuity of the species. This temporary state of madness is nature's cruel yet effective strategy to push us to find a partner, to focus on them, and reproduce. The shutting down of the prefrontal cortex allows us to overlook a partner's flaws and speeds up the bonding process. The dopamine surge provides immense motivation to win that partner over. And the drop in serotonin locks you onto a single target, preventing your attention from being diverted to other potential mates. In short, this first chaotic stage of love is not a romantic fairy tale, but a biological task designed to pass our genes to the next generation. Fortunately, this storm doesn't last forever. Generally, after this passionate period, which can last from a few months to a year or two, brain chemistry changes again. As the dizzying euphoria created by dopamine slows down, two new hormones take the stage: oxytocin and vasopressin. Oxytocin, known as the bonding hormone or cuddle hormone, is released when you touch or hug your partner. This hormone replaces excitement with trust, peace, and a deep sense of commitment. Your partner is no longer an object of addiction, but a safe haven. Vasopressin supports long-term relationships and protective behaviors. With the rise of these two hormones, the brain's CEO, the prefrontal cortex, gradually returns to its duty. Your logic returns, the storm subsides, and if the relationship is solid, it is replaced by a calm, deep, and long-lasting love. The madness of love gives way to the wisdom of compassion. As you can see, behind that magical feeling of love lies a biochemical storm driven by our brain's most primitive instincts, where we completely lose control. This is a dopamine-fueled addiction, a serotonin-fed obsession, and a temporary state of madness where our logic center is shut down. But at the same time, it's a magnificent evolutionary mechanism that ensures the continuation of our species and can eventually lead us to a peaceful harbor. Perhaps this uncontrolled beginning of love is just the first crazy step of a long and meaningful journey. So, what do you think? Does this scientific explanation of love match your experiences? Have you ever had a moment where you completely lost your logic because of love? Share your most irrational moment with us in the comments. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more brain secrets. Stay curious.